Welcome everyone to another episode of Women in Leadership series. My name is Laura Caicedo and I lead the UK&I Solution Architect team for startups. I've been in AWS for 7 years and I also co-founded the AWS Cloud Women. So thanks for watching today. I'm delighted to be today with Melissa. She is a CCO or Chief Commercial Officer at the Smith Institute. Today she will be talking to us a little bit about her journey, her career, and what the Smith Institute does. So welcome and thank you for being with us, Melissa. Maybe do you want to give us a quick intro about yourself, about your role in Smith Institute, and a brief overview of what Smith Institute does?
Certainly. So thank you very much for having me, Laura. It's very nice to be here today with you and your audience. My name is Melissa Tate. I'm the Chief Commercial Officer at Smith Institute. We're an advanced mathematics, data science, and AI consultancy. We're working with clients across the UK and beyond in energy, transport, fast-moving consumer goods, security and defense, government, and spectrum management. And we've been doing that for about 27 years. We have a team that is very skilled in applying AI, advanced mathematics, mathematical modeling, and a range of techniques to customer challenges in order to provide solutions for them. Those might provide better decision intelligence, they might help to create efficiencies or optimize different problems. Excited to be here today to discuss how we're working with those clients and my journey into the business.
Sounds very interesting, and we will dive deep a little bit more into Smith Institute because it's a very relevant area, AI, mathematics, for what's happening in the world today. But maybe let's talk about your journey. I want to talk about like how you became CCO, what were the little steps in your career that actually took you here?
Sure, great. Well, I always knew that I wanted to make a positive impact on the world, and I also knew that I was interested in exploring the world. So I actually, and my journey took a series of sometimes unlikely pivots to get me to where I am today. So I started out, I was raised in Carson City, Nevada, so that's in the Reno Lake Tahoe area, only about 4 hours from San Francisco. And I went to Seattle, where I studied at the University of Washington, and I majored in languages and literature. So studied English and Italian, had a very impactful study abroad trip, and started my career in international education. Working at the University of Washington with a number of different professors to plan study abroad programs in different parts of the world. I work with professors across disciplines, so my career has been characterized by openness and by sort of just learning a lot about a lot of different things. And so we would package programs up into, they were almost like mini products or mini startups. So each one would have a value proposition. We would market it. It had strict budgeting, and we would then implement and operate it. And I realized that I really liked that process, and I was interested in learning more about business. So I went to do an MBA, and then I moved into educational technology. So was working at a startup in Seattle, and I joined in the sales operations role. I learned a lot about commercial management, about sales management, about product marketing, and also really discovered the transformative power of technology when applied to education. And I started to realize that some of these tools, data and different types of technology, could be very flexibly applied across industries. I married an Englishman, and life took us here to the UK. I started out in a role as head of commercial for a startup that was experimenting with things related to data, climate, and some blockchain. And I started to recognize AI as and kind of that combination of data science as the more applicable and transformative tool. So I found a great fit at Smith Institute. And moved over to start working with them on building the commercial team and really understanding customer challenges in a way that we could deliver value to our customers through data science and AI.
Well, amazing journey, first of all. And second, maybe I will summary a little bit because our audience is women who eventually maybe want to move into leadership, who want to move into cloud type of roles. So I think you're an amazing role model. But if I could summarize your career, and maybe, of course, please chip in. You came from languages, you moved into education. I think you really said that you like to learn and experiment different things. And eventually you found maybe your niche in education, and then you move into kind of more education with tech, and that's how you end up in AI ML.
Yeah, it's a great way of looking at it. So I got some great advice at one point that it's hard to just start afresh in something new. So if you find yourself looking for more challenge, or wanting to move into something different in your career, that a good strategy is to sort of, it's hard to change both industry and function at the same time, but if you sort of ladder your way over, then that could be a strategic way to get to where you want to go. And so I feel I didn't necessarily always know exactly what I was doing, but by moving into educational technology and then continuing forward to move into different types of technology, I learned a lot about the way that technology businesses function, about the way that you create technology solutions that actually deliver value to customers, rather than sometimes you can create sort of a solution looking for a problem, a really cool piece of tech that doesn't quite meet customer needs in certain ways. And so I learned a lot about those different things and have ended up where I am today.
That's a great career advice, because many of the people who's watching probably they do not work in tech and they want to move in tech, or they want to jump into leadership, and those lateral moves can be a great example. So thank you for sharing. Maybe now let's change a little bit of gears and talk about AI and innovation, because it seems like Smith Institute is exceeding at this, and you guys have been doing it for 20 plus years. And right now the world, probably you're quite aware, has been taken by the word Gen AI. So how do you see AI, and as a commercial officer talking to your customers and other business and so on, how is this transforming actually how business are making decisions?
It's a great question, and we do see AI taking the world by storm, as it should do, because it's a very transformative technology. It has the potential to help organizations across the spectrum, so from education to kind of government to industry and business, to really make better decisions, get ahead, find efficiencies, and accelerate what they're doing. We're very excited about AI as a technology. What we notice is that, so of course, AI is actually a collection of different tools and techniques that can be applied to different situations. And so sometimes just saying, well, AI can fix it, of course, that's not exactly the way that it works. Instead, we need to take a look at what challenge or problem you're trying to solve, and look at the people and processes who are involved within it, and chart the course to an effective solution. And so that is what we're trying to do at Smith Institute. We use a lot of AWS technologies, so AWS is our primary cloud provider. We're looking at, so we have customers who are trying to do anything from make better forecasts of, let's say, electricity demand in order to optimize the purchase of electricity or optimize costs for consumers. We have customers who are interested in understanding how they can harness the power of some of the generative AI models, whilst also making sure that their data remains private and proprietary. We have some customers who are interested in understanding how they protect their AI systems, making sure that they're safe and secure. There's also optimizing logistics networks, or various different things. So I look at some of the AI technologies as or the umbrella that they all fall underneath as they're kind of like a Swiss Army knife. So they can be applied to many different scenarios, and it's about identifying the problem and the objectives, and then looking at how we match the right techniques to get customers to a solution that really works for them.
Okay. We in AWS, we actually work with a lot of customers day to day, and we see very similar approach where AI can actually impact business from different perspectives. And I guess it's more a matter of like how you play the data, how you make sure it's secure, and all those guardrails and so on. So it sounds like you guys work in very interesting projects. Can you share any like challenging project where maybe this mathematics and AI created significant business impact?
So one of the areas where the challenge and the significant business impact of some of these technologies is really apparent is in the energy industry. So we have very significant targets that we need to meet here in the UK related to net zero and clean power. And the challenge of operating electricity systems is only becoming more difficult as we try to incorporate more renewables into the grid whilst ensuring the security of supply and making sure that electricity costs remain affordable for consumers. So we have worked with clients in the energy industry to use explainable machine learning and optimization to make better forecasts or to optimize the use of resources in order to make sure that we are facilitating that transition. This can lead to huge savings in costs and carbon, and it really shows the power and impact of mathematics and AI in action.
Okay, well, that's a really good example, and I love this type of example when it's like so human relatable and it's like impacts all of our lives. Something as simple as and essential as the electricity. So, thanks for that. Now I want to ask about AWS. You mentioned that AWS is your cloud provider. So I'd like to hear maybe from yourself your experience working with AWS in general.
Yes, definitely. We moved to using AWS almost exclusively at Smith Institute several years ago. And that was to do with the flexibility and the scalability of the solution, the user-friendliness, and it's very cost-effective for us. We also appreciate the wide range of services that are provided, which really help us to maximize the kind of efficiency and effectiveness of the solutions that we're building for our clients. So we can take and manage, client data and manage that sort of the development and the implementation cycle in a way that, because for clients it's really important that the time to deployment or business as usual is as efficient as possible. That's when you really start to realize the value and you can prove the impact of any solution that you're commissioning. And so we use AWS to help make that path smooth for our clients.
I'm glad to hear. Thank you. Well, I'm going to now change gears again, and I want to talk about women in tech. Of course, you are very successful, you are a leader in your field. So what unique perspectives do you think women bring to leadership roles in AI and technology?
I think it's a great question, and I have had the benefit of working with a lot of strong female leaders in my career. And actually at Smith Institute, we have a very strong leadership team and a leadership team that is 65% women. So our CEO is female, Ruth Voicey, and our former CEO, Heather Tewksbury, is also a female. And I think that they've done a really good job of creating a very inclusive climate at Smith Institute where we definitely have high standards and we strive for excellence. And at the same time, we provide really strong support when it comes to making progress toward that, those ambitious goals. I think that in my experience, when we create a climate where we bring people along on the journey, we share the rationale behind where we're going, and we make sure that it's inspiring and ambitious, and we help people to see how they're contributing to those ambitious goals, that we create situations in which people can thrive. And I have had the benefit of working with a lot of female leaders who do that very effectively, and I try to do it with my own team and in my interactions.
Well, great. I'm jealous to know that you have so many women role models, and you have worked with so many amazing women. I think that's one of the points that I would probably think that we need more role models for us to actually show us that it's possible, and for younger generation as well to see that yes, you can get to be a CEO in a tech company, and it's a possible path. So thanks for it. Now, we have also in our views, this is a AWS Cloud Women community where we're trying for women to actually land in a tech job, in a cloud job. And eventually in this series, we want women as well to become leaders and become those role models. So what advice would you give to these women who are watching today and they aspire to become maybe leaders or just join tech in general?
Certainly. Well, first of all, I think it's a fabulously interesting career. And sometimes I hear people describing themselves as technical or not technical. And I think in today's day and age, we're all a little bit technical because we're all using some technology. And we must recognize that, there's a lot of people and processes behind technology. So one of my biggest pieces of advice would be to not exclude yourself and to not discount your own opinion about how technologies and tools can be applied to situations and problems. Another piece of advice would be to make sure that you're just continuously learning. So I am always out learning, reading, following people. I think just following people on LinkedIn is great because you get a lot of information just then coming to you in your feed and those sort of things. But taking the time to understand what's happening, what the trends are, and to build your knowledge and skill set in different areas is really important. Not everything that has to do with technology or working in a technology company requires actual coding or modeling or things like that. Those are very important roles, and I encourage women to get training and go into those as well. We have a number of people at Smith Institute, a very strong representation of females and other diverse populations across our technical team as well. So it is absolutely doable. But if you have more of an interest in something like communication, marketing, sales, operations, by understanding that little bit about the products that you're working with, how they're constructed together, how they meet the needs of the customer groups that you're working with, by taking that sort of customer-centric and bigger picture approach, you can become a very powerful member of your team. And I find the problems that we work on to be fascinatingly interesting, and I mean that's what kind of gets me up every day.
So okay, great. So a little bit of like learning and be curious and getting new knowledge, believing that I'm not tech or I'm techie or so. It's like there is room for everyone in tech as well. And I guess the last thing that you mentioned is about like looking at different segments like marketing, HR, or tech, and try to learn from it and see how everything comes together. What about leadership? So let's assume that we have also somebody viewing who they want to jump and become a CCO like you one day. What would be your advice number one?
Well, a big piece of my advice is to be effective at what you're doing. I mean, I guess sometimes it's try to understand the bigger picture of what the leaders in your company and your customers are striving to do, and make sure that you are stepping up to help and make sure and contribute to that. So I think that I have always been interested in making sure I'm building my skill in learning and in going above and beyond to sort of make sure that I was providing essential value to the people I was working with, and that has very much helped me in my career. There's a management thinker that I really like, Patrick Lencioni, and I think one of his pieces of advice was to make sure that you're humble, hungry, and emotionally intelligent. So, and I think those three things make a very good member of a team, where you're really trying to learn and grow and anticipate what the business needs. I think that can make anybody very effective in what they do.
I really like that you mentioned the emotional intelligence piece, because now more and more research actually show that is one of those traits that make a great leader. And I think like in general, women, we tend to be more close to be emotional intelligence just because of our nature. So that would eventually make us great leaders. So great. Okay, so I'm now gonna again change a little bit of gears here, but let's talk about building high-performing teams. A good leader, it's a trait that they need to have. What's your approach for this?
Absolutely. Well, I suppose that part of it is making sure you get great people on your team. So some of that selection criteria those traits that you're trying to build in good employees are very important. But then for me, it's about creating structures in which the entire team is aligned and knows where they're going and knows why. They know how they contribute to that, so they can sort of understand how, even if it's a small contribution or isn't completely customer facing, they understand exactly how that is contributing to the broader success and mission of the department or business. And then I think people need to feel like they are seen and valued, like they belong, and like you actually care about them as people. They're an integral part of the company. By mixing that sort of mix of the why and the how and the kind of nurturing and support, that can help to build really great teams.
Great advice. And now again, like I think those are traits that we women tend to have more often. So caring, making sure that our teams feel value and so on. So okay, and to close, I'd like to ask a little bit about your future. So I guess the future of Smith Institute as well. So what's next for you? Maybe we can start there. How do you see your career maybe in 5 or a couple of years?
Well, I think I want to continue delivering value to our customers and growing our ability to understand and to apply the new technologies that are coming out to solve some of the most complex challenges. And I think that aligns very closely with the mission of Smith Institute as well. So we are on a mission to make a positive impact on economy, environment, and society through the use of advanced mathematics, data science, and AI. And we have really only scratched the surface in terms of helping people to implement these wonderful tools. So I see that with the development of solutions like AWS and the different services that are offered across these, AWS Cloud Platform, we have organizations, especially as they're replatforming or bringing some of these into the mix, that are more and more ready to harness the power of AI. They have the right data environments. They have the right kind of, DevOps environments and model maintenance tools that really help you to actually implement data science and AI models in real time or in the right time for your business. So we are definitely wanting to make sure that we can continue to accelerate the way that our clients are harnessing these type of solutions. In addition to that, there are a couple of new hot topics that are also hot topics at Smith Institute. So that's the use of adaptive or agentic AI, and also the incorporation of things like generative AI into our business and into the businesses of our clients. There are some really key questions in terms of how you do that in a way that, especially when you're talking about highly sensitive data or critical national infrastructure, in the way that you do that that is safe and secure. And so we are actively working with clients and working internally with our innovation program and working with AWS to explore the different solutions that you have, whether it's standalone LLMs that are hosted on something like SageMaker, or whether it's the use of a tool like Claude, in conjunction with the data masking and anonymization technologies that Bedrock has to offer. These are all things that we're really actively employing, and I do think that they will lead to further impact in the future for
Yeah. I think this
clients.
is just the tip of the iceberg. Like it's just like every day we hear more about new models and new technologies, which is very, very interesting. And I guess like that'll be an advice for anyone watching and want to move into cloud, and it'd be really good to start learning about agentic workloads, for instance. So yeah. Well, Melissa, thank you so much for being with us. It's been a pleasure to talk about your journey, your career, how Smith Institute is actually shaping the role on AI and mathematics and helping actually business. So yeah, thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks. It's been great getting to know you. Thank you very much.
Thanks for watching. I hope this interview has been informative. As I mentioned at the beginning, this is a Women in Leadership series videos, and we have so many other great videos. So if you haven't watched them, please check them out in our playlist. Thank you. Bye.